Dog serves this community. So Lulu is a retired electronic detection canine. She finds child porn evidence in child sex abuse material cases. And you haven't heard of me because I'm a person who was looking at my country and my state burning and my neighbors struggling to put food on the table and a roof over their head, hoping somebody would come save us. And I realized that that was us. We have to come save us. And so I was taught that if you have something to offer your community, you do that. And that's why we're here running. I was not asked to be here. I wasn't tapped by anybody to run in this political race. And I'm just excited to be here with y'all today to talk a little bit more about the issues. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Mr. Hummert, your opening statement.
My name is Michael Hummert. I'm running for the United States Senate. I'm a realist liberal Democrat. I deal with reality, like our $39 trillion national debt, and our Congress that's building it by $2 trillion a year. No one seems to be alarmed by this, but they should be. This is an existential threat to our children's very opportunities. We need to do something about this and address the $1 trillion a year that we spend on interest on this debt. Social Security and Medicare is another issue that no one's talking about. The trust fund will be seriously depleted by 2034, and no one's doing anything about this. AI was just something we talked about 5-6 years ago on YouTube. Now it's invasive. It's in our culture. And our country has not done anything to control the multinational corporations or the billionaires that are actually putting this on us. We need somebody that's going to go to Washington, D.C., and is going to work with the Republicans and get this done. We can't do it by ourselves, or it would be done. Thank you.
Ms. Neill, your opening statement.
It's impossible to be a working person and win right now. You're told, work hard. You're told, hard work pays off. You're told, follow the rules. So you do. You do. You take the extra shift. You go in early. You work late. But it's not enough. You've got to be loyal, but you're replaceable. You need to have pride in your work, but your wages never add up. You have to be grateful for a job that doesn't even cover your life. You save, you plan, you budget, and costs, they rise anyway. It's too hard. It's too contradictory. And then they tell you it's your fault. No, we are not the problem. The billionaires and the millionaires who make the money off our backs are the problem. I'm Reilly Neill. I'm going to the U.S. Senate to get a fair shake for Montanans, not billionaires.
Thank you. The first question goes to Mr. Blackwolf. Mr. Blackwolf, let's talk about the war in Iran. Do you support President Trump's decision to attack Iran or not? What should the next steps be to resolve the conflict? And what role as a U.S. Senator would you play?
Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Yeah, so I think that, it's a great question to start with because I think this is, right now, this is on top of everybody's minds at the forefront. And we're looking at this administration, in particular this president, literally taking liberties that he does not have. So first of all, no, I do not support this president. I think that our Congress is inept at this moment. They are clearly showing that every single current active member in Congress is being complicit with endorsing, essentially unofficially endorsing this president and his actions in leading this country into another war that we don't need to be in. We didn't need to be in this war. There's no reason for us to be in this war whatsoever. We had an administration under Obama that had rules and a treaty in place that basically put an end to Iran enriching uranium, and this administration is trying to use this war to distract from the Epstein files.
Thank you. Ms. Bankhead, your response.
I'm completely opposed to this war in Iran. As I mentioned earlier, I'm a retired lieutenant colonel, and actually y'all probably remember the 3 F-15Es that went down about a month ago in Kuwait. Well, I was the commander of the counterintelligence unit in Kuwait almost 15 years ago, and that situation was my worst nightmare come to life. We need to make sure we're putting our oxygen mask on first as United States. Our people are suffering and struggling. I have a master's degree in international relations with a concentration in national security studies, and even I, who is pro-defense and pro-protecting our borders, still believe that we need to stop the war on Iran, stop the bleeding on the finances, make sure that we're not losing our sons and daughters to this horrific event, and bring things back home so that we can start taking care of Montana first.
Thank you. Mr. Hummert, your response.
As a U.S. Senator, I would have vigorously opposed Donald Trump entering this war. I understand why he did it, but I do oppose the barbaric actions that he's taken against the people of Iran. There's absolutely no reason for such an outburst. It's unfortunate also that we've been at war with Iran, or the people of Iran, since 1979, when Jimmy Carter put the first sanction on their country. Economically, we've been trying to crush them for 47 years. There's a lot of other countries out there that we're doing the same thing to. I'm vehemently opposed to war. I retired from the military in 1996, and I pray to God that we can avoid going to another conflict like Iraq or Afghanistan. There's things we can do in the United States Senate, but they need some leadership that actually wants to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Neill, your response.
I'm from a military family. I didn't have the opportunity to serve, but I want to take a moment right now and thank our armed forces for their sacrifice. We don't need to send Montana's sons and daughters to an unnecessary war. Congress is not doing their job at holding the executive office accountable. Our Constitution is very clear that Congress has war powers, and we need to use those powers. Senator Steve Daines, he doesn't care whether or not we send Montana's sons and daughters to war. He's answering to the president. And the person he picked to run on the Republican ticket in this Senate race will do the same. I will not.
Thank you. The next question goes to Ms. Bankhead. Ms. Bankhead, we have a huge growing economic disparity in this country between the haves and have-nots, a massive wealth gap. What, if anything, should Congress do about it, and what would you propose to do about it?
Thank you so much for the question. We absolutely have to do something about the divide growing in the wealth gap. And we have had copper barons in the past. We have broken up monopolies in seasons past of our country's history, and we can do that again. We have a precedence for that. At the time, nobody knew how we were going to beat the copper barons or the big newspaper folks around the turn of the century. But again, we have that blueprint. We're going to be able to do that moving forward. Everybody should pay their fair share of taxes, and we should be bringing a lot of that economy down to the main street. So the simple impetus of this campaign is to bring more resources to Main Street, because when we do that, when our economy is doing better, everybody does better overall. We all create better results together.
Thank you. Mr. Hummert, your response.
This goes back to a balanced budget amendment. When we spend more money than we take in as a nation, who does that benefit? It doesn't benefit anybody in this room. It benefits billionaires. It benefits corporations. It benefits other countries. So by getting a balanced budget amendment, we can greatly restrict how much money is being spent on war and other countries. And I think that's probably the best defense we have against our billionaires and millionaires. Thank you.
Ms. Neill, your response.
I know what it's like to not be able to pay your bills, and I'll never forget. We need to raise Montana's minimum wage to the federal level. And when I'm in DC, we need to raise the federal minimum wage. We need industry in Montana, but we need to invite industry that's going to pay workers fairly so that they can keep up with the cost of living and the cost of housing, which right now is the highest in the nation.
Thank you. Mr. Blackwolf.
Yes, so quick reminder to everybody that balanced budgets only happen under democratically led presidency and Congress. And so right now, top 1% of wage and business and corporations control approximately 30% of the money, the investments in this country. We need to really step up and support our unions. We need to ensure that our Made in Montana gets pushed forward. We need to really step up and really start looking at what we need to do here, raising the minimum wage, balancing budgets, and making sure that just common sense is used when it comes to our nation's dollars.
Thank you. The next question goes first to Mr. Hummert. Mr. Hummert, Montanans all over the state are facing a housing market that for many is unaffordable or just takes a huge chunk of their income. I'm just wondering, as a member of Congress, what can or will you do to attack this problem?
This problem has two prongs to it. First off, it's a state's responsibility. I realize everybody wants the federal government to do everything for them, but it's unfortunate that we owe $39 trillion and we're already spending $2 trillion more a year than we take in. If we get a balanced budget amendment and over the next 5, 6, 7 years actually come to a balance in our actual spending, then that means it's going to stabilize our economy. We can't fix this problem overnight, and it wasn't caused overnight. But we have to look to the future for the next generation and the generation after that. Realize children born today will be alive in the 22nd century. That's staggering when you stop and think about it. And if our government doesn't start planning for that, housing will be the least of our worries, trust me. But I think that it's a state's problem, and the state has the solution, and so does the city. Cutting these draconian requirements for building houses could be the first step. Thank you.
Ms. Neill, your response.
We need to ask, how will our children live here? How will future generations of Montanans live here? We need federal infrastructure dollars to go to housing incentives for our veterans, for low-income families, for renters, and we need these incentives to work for people on the ground now. We're already in a housing crisis. We need to help every Montanan compete in this market. And the Montana legislature needs to provide some property tax relief for our seniors.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwolf.
Yes. You know, so in Montana right now, since 2018, our housing prices have shot up over 90%. That's more than 50% they were in just 2018. If we think about that for a second, that is absolutely ludicrous. That absolutely outprices anybody that makes $100,000 or less in Montana. To me, that's absolutely outrageous. And the way that things are set up right now in this country, in this economy, you know, it's basically benefiting out-of-state investors who are coming and buying in single-family homes, consolidating all of those, turning them into rental units. As your senator, I will fight to limit large-scale investor purchases and to support community investment into our own state, our own backyards. And it's true, it's a state issue. However, because it's such a large housing crisis, any help from anywhere, including the federal government, I think would be greatly welcomed.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwolf. And finally, Ms. Bankhead, your response.
Yes, first and foremost, we're going to take corporate entities out of our housing. Everybody deserves access to housing, but there are going to be a number of other things we do at the federal level to make things easier for Montanans to purchase their own house. Number one, we have this amazing law on capital gains, and currently the limit's $250,000. If we raise that limit to $500,000, we know that people are going to start selling houses, and that's going to open up additional inventory, which is going to lower the cost of housing. Additionally, we've talked to a number of construction companies and talked about taxes being their biggest burden. So I'm offering tax breaks to companies that are in construction and other tangential businesses to get tax breaks if 30% or more of their portfolio it consists of affordable housing, which I define as $350,000 or below.
Thank you. The next question goes first to Ms. Neill. Ms. Neill, Montana's native peoples continue to face obstacles such as poor access to good health care, high poverty rates, lack of adequate basic infrastructure where many of them live. What would your priority be as a U.S. Senator to improve the lives of Montana's Native Americans?
I will uphold all treaties with our Native neighbors, and I will respect our sovereign nations. In this climate, I will protect the 14th Amendment, which gives our tribal neighbors the right to citizenship and to participate in our democracy. We have 13 tribes and 7 reservations in Montana, and I know and understand how important federal government funding and management is to these individuals and their tribes. I'll make sure that they have the resources that they need, and I will always make myself and my staff available.
Thank you. Mr. Blackwolf.
Thank you. As we celebrate full federal recognition of the Lumbee Nations and their recently passing of the Lumbee tribes through the Lumbee Fairness Act, we cannot forget and overlook the gross underfunding of Indian Health Services, just direct funding to tribes. And we also need to realize and understand that there is a unique trust responsibility between the federal government and tribal nations. And that trust responsibility needs to be honored. I think that there are creative ways that we can do this. I think that most tribes should, if they aren't, become direct compact tribes, meaning that the money comes directly from the federal government to the tribes and not through the Bureau of Indian Affairs, where the budgets are cut by indirect cost on several steps before minuscule dollars from the initial budgeted amount of money makes its way to tribes. So direct compacting with tribes and understanding that there is a federal trust responsibility on behalf of the federal government with tribes.
Thank you. Ms. Bankhead.
So there are numerous studies that demonstrate that when we protect and uplift the most vulnerable, all of society thrives. I've been working with Native American, Native Hawaiian tribes for almost 2 decades and protecting them from child exploitation and sex trafficking, and I will continue to do that. I know that for many of them, especially as a retired federal agent, our federal agencies have done a piss poor job of protecting them from the most basic crimes, and I intend to do something about that at the federal level with the relationships I have with survivors myself. Healthcare is another big one. We cannot thrive if we do not have a basic foundation of health and welfare for everybody, and that doesn't just include healing the physical body. It includes mental health resources, dental, all of those elements, and I intend to fully support our Native tribes when up in DC.
Thank you. Mr. Hummert.
Thank you. Let's be clear, this is not a question of money. Currently, Congress is funding $37.5 billion to the Native Americans in this country. There are 1.9 million Native Americans throughout the nation that are members of other nations, Indian nations. These people get the money, but unfortunately it seems that there's not enough oversight so that the actual money goes to the people that need it. The money goes first to the first agency, then the second agency, and then finally trickles down to the people. I think the first and second agencies that they go to are the ones siphoning off the money that's critically needed at the local level. So it's not about the money, it's about actually some oversight, I think. And that's what Congress's job is supposed to be, is oversight when they spend your money. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question goes first to Mr. Blackwolf. Let's talk about health care. Health care remains difficult to afford or access for many Montanans, many citizens in the country. It's a big problem. I'm just wondering, if you're a U.S. Senator, what are the steps that you think should be taken to start solving this persistent problem?
Yeah, thank you. And again, coming from a tribal community, growing up in one of the tribal nations, I fully understand the inadequacies of the healthcare system. Those of us that are Native or either worked with or in and around Indian Health Services, we fully understand how grossly underfunded Indian Health Services is to tribal nations. And so as we start to see the closure of rural hospitals, rural clinic facilities, I can say I know, I've lived it for 55 years of knowing what almost substandard, almost inadequate services are. And I don't want that, and I don't wish that on anybody, in any of our fellow citizens in America. Our healthcare system really is our life support, if you think about it. We have basic human rights. We have several of them. One is we have the basic right to breathe clean air. We have the basic right to clean water to drink. We have the basic right to eat, and then we have the basic right for making sure that we are ensured that we are healthy individuals. Those are basic human rights, and this country ignores the vast majority of them most of the time. And if I become your senator, when I become your next senator, I will make sure that I will fight for all of those basic rights, including health care, for all the people of Montana.
Thank you. Ms. Bankhead, your response.
Absolutely, everybody has the right to access quality health care without having to worry about how they're going to pay for it. It is completely unacceptable to me that when you're in the hospital healing, that you're worried about anything other than healing. And the idea of going bankrupt in this society, the richest country in the world, is completely disgusting to me. Oftentimes, I hear people ask, how are you going to pay for it, Alani? And I have an easy answer to that: the defense budget. I understand the defense budgets. I've worked at the Pentagon. I've seen the most senior levels. And if we claw back even the use-lose expenses, that would be about 2/3 of the way towards Medicaid for all. And then we stop the war in Iran at $1 to $2 billion a day. And slowly but surely, we can get to that universal health care standard that everybody deserves.
Thank you. Mr. Hummert, your response.
We are actually very close to the universal health care. Over 135 million American citizens get one form or another of universal health care from the United States government, whether it be veterans or Medicaid or Medicare. So, and universal, and ACA, Affordable Care Act. All these things cost us a lot of money every year. If we just put these things together under one roof and start examining where the money actually goes, I think we can probably get a lot closer to it than people think. $5.7 trillion is spent on medical coverage in this nation every year, and the government is spending 2.4 of that. That's a significant amount of money. It can go a lot farther if we just organize and actually have some transparency and a little bit of integrity. Thank you.
Ms. Neill, your response.
The problem with for-profit healthcare is that it is for-profit. I am fully for universal healthcare, a single-payer system. This will stabilize and fund our rural healthcare systems. This will help to encourage healthcare workers to join, or potential healthcare workers to join the workforce, and it will bring costs down. Montanans, veterans, they don't need to drive 3 hours one way, like a couple I know in Phillips County who drive 2 hours each way just to get blood drawn. Just last week, a woman in Mexico, the president, passed universal health care south of the border. And if she can do it down there, we can do it up here too.
Thank you. The next question goes to Ms. Bankhead first. Ms. Bankhead, I'm sure you're aware of the huge amounts of money that have been appropriated to DHS, ICE, and Customs and Border Patrol for President Trump's deportation plans and anti-immigration plans. I'm just wondering, what do you think of those actions? And many Democrats have objected to them. If you're elected, what would you do to object to this, assuming you object to that? And what would be your approach to immigration in the country?
I most definitely object to that. And the reality is that we've done a lot of damage through our new immigration policy with the current administration. I'm a retired federal law enforcement officer. I was a task force officer with Homeland Security, so I understand exactly what their authorities are. There's nobody in this room, I highly doubt, that believes that we should allow bad folks into the country, but we do need overall immigration reform. With that being said, the amounts of money that are going to DHS are unprecedented, and I find them completely unacceptable. So we're going to rein that funding back, and we're going to get the training standards to where they were before the current administration and ensure that we are following due process, because really that's what this is ultimately about. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't take people years to become U.S. citizens. Those folks who are seeking asylum at the border are doing so because of actions that the United States took decades ago to destabilize their own countries. And we have a responsibility to be part of the solution in terms of allowing our country to continue being a country of immigrants, because we thrive when we have folks from different cultures and different backgrounds that can bring their expertise and brilliant ideas to the United States. That's what makes us great.
Thank you. Mr. Hummert, your response.
I have a little bit different take on immigration. I wrote a 120-page immigration law, 42 sections. I had to do a lot of research to get this thing built. And I learned a lot about immigration. One of the most critical parts of immigration is there's so many different agencies that actually have oversight. It needs to be all put under one agency. As far as Donald Trump attacking people in Minnesota, I think it was unconscionable. There's 26 major cities in this nation that are Republican. Why didn't he start there? Did he have ulterior motives for wanting to be so disruptive in Minneapolis? I'm not sure. But I do know this much. Our immigration, as it's currently structured, disadvantages people trying to find jobs, because immigrants can be exploited by large corporations and small businesses alike. So when your high school student wants to find a job and he can't find one, it might have been because of illegal immigration.
Ms. Neill, your response.
Our immigration system is broken, and it's been broken for a long time. It shouldn't take 8 to 10 years. If you're a law-abiding citizen in this country, it shouldn't take a decade to become a law-abiding worker, individual living in this country. It shouldn't take a decade to achieve legal status here. Again, let's see Congress do their jobs. We're a nation built on immigrants, yes. And just in the last weeks, I was out in Freud, Montana, meeting with an entire community who are standing up for a law-abiding worker, community member, coach, friend, father, who is sitting in the Great Falls jail right now. They did not commit a crime, and they were working on a path to living here legally. We need to make sure there's a path to citizenship for anyone who wants it.
Mr. Blackwell, your response.
Yes, thank you. Let's call this administration's policy on immigration what it is. Absolutely racist. Absolutely racist. By a show of hands, who wants to go pick potatoes in harvest season in Idaho? By a show of hands, who wants to go to Central California and pick strawberries and all those other fruits and vegetables and all that fun stuff we love to eat? Another show of hands, who wants to go to Florida and pick all that citrus that we enjoy, that we get our oranges and our limes and all that stuff from, we go up the street here to Safeway or Albertsons. Who wants to go to Florida and pick those? We need immigration in this country. This country is built on immigrants. For us to sit here and try to 100% close the door on immigration is absolutely hypocritical on what this country was founded on. Absolutely, we should have immigration reform. Absolutely, we do not want dangerous criminals coming to our country. But the way that we are going about this with this administration is absolutely unconscionable. And as your next senator, I guarantee you I will lead the fight on immigration reform to make sure that we get good, hardworking immigrants to come to this country and contribute to our country's economy.
Thank you. The next question goes to, first to Mr. Hummert. Mr. Hummert, many people believe President Trump has overstepped his authority as president in many ways. Do you agree? And if you're elected, what can or would you do to rein in the president's power and actions?
There's two main issues that we need to talk about. One is tariffs. He way overstepped his boundaries there. Congress needs to rein him back in and rein him in hard. Anybody that wakes up on a Thursday morning and says they're going to tariff a nation if they don't do what he says by noon, that person's a little unhinged. So the second thing is what he's done in Iran. Most people think that that's illegal, but unfortunately, the way our laws are structured, especially the use of authorization for use of military action that was signed into law by George W. Bush after 9/11 to fight terrorism, has been used by every president since then to fight whatever war they want to fight. All they have to do is call you a terrorist and they can kill you. Congress needs to immediately repeal that and go back to the 1973 law that makes Congress the authority on whether or not we go to war. So that's the main reason we need to repeal that. Other than that, I would say Donald Trump on just about any given day has given Saturday Night Live plenty of material. So I'm going to miss him in 2 years for that, but that's the only thing. Thank you.
Ms. Neill, your response.
For almost 2 years now, and especially since January of 2020, I've been sharing information about senatorial procedures that could hold the executive accountable. So far, the leadership in DC, in the Senate, has not taken these actions. Very recently, they're showing a little more backbone, but at the end of the day, this comes down to leadership. When I go to the US Senate, I will build coalitions with the leaders who are working through senatorial procedure and other methods to hold the president accountable and to hold the president accountable to our Constitution.
Thank you. Mr. Blackwolf, your response.
Thank you. You know, whether it's withholding federal funding that was congressionally approved, whether it's bypassing Congress to try to make sweet deals for his buddies on oil and gas leases on our public lands, we're seeing unprecedented and historic actions by this administration, not for the good and not for the betterment of this country. When I had gotten to this race, one of the things I said is what I would love to go down in history as your next senator is I would love to kill MAGA and their movement, and I unapologetically stand by that statement. You send me to the United States Senate, I will make sure that this president will be reined in. We will kill all his executive orders, and we'll put the power back into Congress to check him and keep him in balance, keep him in check.
Thank you. Ms. Bankhead, your response.
I was raised to believe that when you're given extraordinary power, that you have to wield it with integrity and excellence, and Trump has not done that in any way, shape, or form. Whether it's insider trading, his gross abuse of the Department of Justice and going after his enemies, violating our due process, completely avoiding any accountability on the Epstein files, his abuse of war powers, or the tariffs debacle. I have a network that I've spent the last 20 years working with to protect children and the most vulnerable from sexual abuse and other corruption, and I've put corrupt government officials in jail my entire career. And I intend to impeach Trump and put him in jail with my network of friends as well, because that's what Montana deserves, that's what the United States deserves, because we have to hold our leaders accountable. And it starts first by y'all deciding that you want him out, that you want our congressional delegation out that is completely backing the administration, and you just have to decide which individual you want, and I hope that you're gonna vote for me.
Thank you. Next question goes first to Ms. Neill. Ms. Neill, consumers, producers, and businesses in America operate in an economy that's increasingly dominated by large monopolistic companies in many sectors, from ag to tech, healthcare, banking, et cetera. Do you see this as a problem? And if so, what should Congress do about it?
Well, I'll drill down on one of those issues, and it relates to all. Here in Montana, we had a group of exploitative corporatists called the Copper Kings. They got low tax rates for bringing in business, industry, jobs. And right now, we have groups, organizations, individuals, and these aren't immigrants with a fourth grade education from Ireland like Marcus Daly. These are corporate billionaires who want to exploit our water and our power for data centers. And we have to hold these corporations accountable as a model of how we hold the meatpacking industry, how we hold the healthcare industry accountable. As I noted in my intro, Montana, we listen to the people. We are not a corporate-run state, and we never will be. And I'll make sure of that when I'm in the U.S. Senate.
Mr. Blackwolf, your response.
So first of all, let me start off by saying I fully acknowledge that the United States is a capitalistic country. However, with unbridled capitalism comes uncontrolled, unchecked, unregulated greed. And as we see that unfolding before our eyes with this administration, the very person at the top of this administration is the prime example of what it is to be unbridled, uncontrolled, unchecked capitalism. You think about children. Our mentality often carries over into adulthood. If you set a box of chocolates or candy down in front of a kid, what are they going to do? They're going to eat the whole thing in one sitting. Some of us never outgrow that when we become adults. And uncontrolled, unbridled, unchecked, unregulated capitalism just breeds those kind of people. We need to bring regulation back to this country. We need to break up these big corporations, and we need to bring back interests to Montana for Montanans to make sure that we are able to be prosperous as a state.
Thank you. Ms. Bankhead, your response.
As I previously mentioned, we already have a blueprint for this. So we've busted monopolies in our country's past. So the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, and most recently big tech and the billionaires. We've done this before, and this is just a new opportunity to do the same. Now, it's easy to sit here and talk about how evil billionaires are, but the question is, what are we building towards? And our country understood after the Great Depression that we had to support the most vulnerable in our population in order for the entire country to thrive. We created programs like Social Security and welfare to ensure that people had food on the table and that they could enjoy their latter years in relative freedom. And we need to go back to that. And as your senator, I will propose New Deal type of opportunities where we can not only hold those big billionaires to account, but we can also make sure that we're supporting Montana's Main Street so that everyone rises at the same time.
Thank you. Mr. Hummert, your response.
This is truly an uphill battle because everybody in our Congress is a corporatist. They come from that world. They're not going to freely give this up. And billionaires and multimillionaires and huge corporations, they have massive power in our government by being able to influence these people. I asked a rich person one time in Washington, why don't you run for office? And he says, why would I want to do that when I can just purchase a senator or a House of Representative? And that's exactly how our government's being run right now. We need transparency. And expecting these corporatists that get elected because of corporations and multi-billionaires with their PAC money, it's kind of a hard lift, like I said. Transparency is the only thing we can count on. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we go to our last question before we go to closing statements. The last question to start with Mr. Blackwolf. Mr. Blackwolf, why are you the best person on this stage to take on the GOP nominee and most likely a prominent independent? Most people in the state have no idea who you are. How are you going to go from ground zero to winning this final race?
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for killing my ego there, buddy.
That was meant for everybody.
Oh, I could feel some heaviness in the air, so I needed to break that up a bit. No, I'm just teasing you, my man. You know, so obviously, I don't come from money. I've never been in organized politics. However, I do have common sense. Common sense. I'm born in Montana, raised in Montana, raised with Montana values. I know what it's like to be a Montanan. I know what it's like to be an everyday hardworking Montanan. I know what it's like to struggle. I know what it's like to have that check engine light on your truck. I know what it's like to be working really hard and then still not have enough at the end of the day, at the end of payday, or as I like to call it, the end of bill day. So really quick, Eastern Montana is huge for us. Agriculture, farming, ranching. And I want to give a quick shout out and a quick mention of this. I am going to be the first candidate to talk about this, and I'm going to be the first candidate to push for this. We are going to look at helping the Eastern Montana Fertilizer Company try to get off the ground. We're going to be looking, we're going to be investing. There are going to be approximately 900 construction jobs with this project, and there will be approximately 200 full-time jobs when this project is done to provide high-quality fertilizer to the farmers and ranchers in this state and also to our surrounding states.
Thank you. Ms. Bankhead, your response to that question.
Well, I've spent the last 22 years of my career protecting and defending this country, and I'm the only candidate on the stage that has results in and out of DC. The people that I've had the privilege to work with have put their nose to the grindstone, and you don't know who we are because we're too busy getting results and not wanting any kind of credit for it. In my last jurisdiction alone, we arrested almost 100 pedophiles and human traffickers, recovered more than 25 children from exploitation, and I have a 96% conviction rate in court. And that's all because 4 of us decided we were going to get together, us normal people just like you, and we decided we were going to do something to protect our most vulnerable. And those results are because of that American ingenuity and caring of our communities, which is exactly what Montana represents. So taking those Montana values to DC with my network of proven results over the last 2 decades is what sets me apart.
Thank you. Mr. Hummert, your response.
I have been watching politics my entire life. 67 years. I have watched politicians come and go, distort the truth, outright lie. And I've also seen great politicians that you would have never thought they were the answer to the problem, like Bill Clinton in the 90s. What a tremendous opportunity it was to watch him work. 3 Congresses, Republicans, and he worked with those people and got the only 3 balanced budgets that we've seen in my lifetime. That's what it takes to actually go to Congress and get something done. And that's exactly what I would plan on doing, is working with the Republicans to get the most important things accomplished. I'm not going there for culture wars. We can do that back home. I'm going there to fix the system, to actually get something done. And I have a lifetime of experience working with other people, and hopefully we can do just that. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Neill, your response.
I didn't just jump in this race a few months ago. I've been on the ground since the day after the election in 2024, listening to Montanans. I believe we can elect a Democrat in Montana. Think about it. In 2020, we had a Democratic governor here. That's not so long ago, right? I believe in the Montana people. I respect the Montana people, and that's why I got on the ground early. Dems can get elected in Montana, but we have to approach the electorate with humility. We need to build a platform on what we hear, not what we think. And we can never forget, as Democrats, the people who put this democratic machine in power. It's us. It's the people of Montana.
Thank you. Now it's time for our closing statements. The candidates have 2 minutes each, and we'll start with Mr. Blackwolf.
Thank you, Mike. You know, we talked about the challenges facing the state of Montana. We talked about health care. We talked about infrastructure. One thing I want to talk about that wasn't explicitly talked about was our Montana veterans. As a father of a combat veteran, I seen the struggles as a parent, watching our son go through the issues that he went through. I'm a huge proponent for supporting our veterans, all veterans. And for those that do not know, Montana's natives and the Native Americans of this country serve at a higher per capita rate than any other race. And that's something that I'm very proud to say that I support. However, we tend to see our veterans get tossed to the side when we're done using them, once they take off that uniform and they reintegrate into society. One thing that I will push very hard for is to make sure that all of our combat veterans get an automatic 100% rating once they are discharged from the military. I've seen too many veterans, including my own son, be treated like a criminal when he is applying for his VA benefits. That's absolutely unacceptable, and that's one thing that I will push for. Also, I wanted to say real quick that, you know, I believe in Montana. I believe in Montana values. I know you guys have those Montana values: honesty, integrity, helping our neighbors, sharing, compassion. That has been usurped by MAGA and the Republican Party. Let's show not only Montana, let's show America what Montana is. Let's Montana lead the way. And as your next United States Senator, I will speak up on all of your behalf and make sure that we get back to being those types of Montanans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blackwolf. Ms. Bankhead, your closing statement.
I've had the privilege of serving this country by going to over 80 countries and almost every state in this country to protect the vulnerable, because ever since I was a little girl, I've hated bullies. And we have a bully in the White House right now. And I have to say, of all the places that I've been to, we get a lay of the land when it comes to culture. And there is no other culture like Montana values culture. That mix of common sense, the care for community, family, freedom, and hard work is unlike anything I've ever seen in the world. And historically, we've only been able to create the successes for our most vulnerable when we have that raw leadership talent come together, and Montana has it in spades. But there is one thing that would stop us from beating this administration, and it's fear. And so I'm asking y'all to hang on to your mustard seed of hope. It is scary to believe that we can flip things and that things can get better. But nobody does that better than a Montanan. And I'm excited to lead you by flipping the Senate seat because we absolutely can do that. And we are going to create that national change and lead the way for the rest of the country because no other state in this union has what Montana has. And finally, I've hunted terrorists and bad guys my entire career, and I'm really good at it. And I'm really excited to hunt the ultimate terrorist up in the White House and hold him and his cronies to account and create a better Montana and a greater United States together. Thank you very much for your vote.
Thank you. Mr. Hummert, your closing statement.
I'm a realist at heart. I deal with what the problems really are. I try to strip away the emotional part and just look at what we actually have to deal with. Go back to the balanced budget amendment. We have $39 trillion that we have on our debt sheet now, and they're spending $2 trillion more every year than we take in. How are we going to pay for these things? What are you going to tell your grandchildren about this day? We do nothing now, they inherit it. What are they going to do with it? If we were to get a balanced budget amendment today and take 5 years to actually balance our budget, we would still be $45, maybe $46 trillion deeper in debt. We must simply tackle the problems one at a time. We have to work with the Republicans to get this done. And we can't work with the Republicans if we constantly stand there and demonize them. I know it's not popular, but it's the hard work that has to get done. Congress passes by all the problems and hopes the next Congress will take care of them. We are about out of time. I don't know if I can say that any more forceful. Social Security's in trouble. We have AI that's going to crush our employment. And here we talk about things that really, they matter, but they don't matter as much as the big problems matter. I go to Washington, D.C., those are the things I'm going to tackle relentlessly. We must have a balanced budget amendment. We must fix our elections. And most importantly, we must get rid of Citizens United and tell corporations they are not people. They are just corporations working for us. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Neill, your closing statement.
We work, we build, we keep Montana running. We're done being told to work harder for less. It's time for small government that works for the people and stays the hell out of our business. It's time to reset the rules. Billionaires don't need to be in charge. Republicans have been telling us for years that we need to be energy independent. We need to pay attention to the middle class. We need to create jobs. Well, Epic failed. They failed. They have not delivered. And frankly, neither party is delivering right now. We had our chance. We need another chance. I won't blow smoke. It's past time that the working class had someone who's working for them in Washington. I will always listen to Montanans. In 2024, we passed CI 128, and we passed it by a resounding majority. And that's not an accident. We've had a senator since that time who's worked tirelessly to overturn what Montanans voted for. So So much is at stake in this election. Here in Montana, just a reminder, we saw it with CI 128, and regardless of what Daines is trying to still do in Washington, billionaires and millionaires, they don't make the rules. The Montana people do. I'm Reilly Neill, and I'm running for U.S. Senate to bring this home.
Thanks. Let's have one last round of applause for all of our fine candidates up here. That wraps up our debate this afternoon. I'd like to sincerely thank the candidates for taking time from their busy schedule to take part today. The primary election is on June 2nd. If you haven't registered to vote, you can do it through your county election office, including up to and on Election Day. If you're already registered and you're requested an absentee ballot, those will be in the mail just 4 weeks from now. Please get out and vote this primary election. Thank you for joining us.
Good to talk to you again, Michael.
Yeah, nice talk to you.
I can help you with that light. I have my engine diagnostic.